everyone, thank you very much for coming to my poster presentation today. My name is Katy and my topic today is going to be about how to give an effective poster presentation. Okay? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask those at the end of my presentation. So my poster is divided into three main parts. Firstly, I'm going to talk about general things about the structure of your presentation and planning a presentation. Then I'm going to move on to the kind of visual elements of a poster presentation, so the layout and use of pictures and so on. And finally, I'm going to talk about presentation skills, so body language, eye contact, and some signposting language as well. Okay, so let's start. So as I said, the first section is about planning and the structure of a presentation. So planning is extremely important. So here you've got some basic guidelines about how to plan a presentation. So thinking about, for example, who is your audience? What is the aim of your presentation? What's the purpose? Okay, what information do you want to give to the audience? Yeah. Secondly, I've got some information here about the basic structure of a poster presentation, or indeed any kind of presentation. So the basic structure is this. There should be three main parts. You've got the introduction, the main body, and of course the conclusion. So let's move on and have a look in a little bit more detail at introductions and conclusions. So the introduction has several purposes. Okay? So it's to introduce the topic, of course, to grab the audience's attention, that's important, to give the audience an idea of the structure and the topics within your presentation, and to give them information about when they can ask questions, so for example at the end of the presentation. So moving on to conclusions. So the conclusion should kind of review the topic and the purpose of the presentation. It could give recommendations, for example. It could summarise the things that you've spoken about. It could give predictions or ideas for future research in your topic. And of course you should always thank the audience and ask if they have any questions as well. Okay, let's move on to the second part of my poster, which is about the layout and the kind of visual element of presentations. So these diagrams here represent the reading path. Has anyone heard of the reading path before? No? Okay, so a reading path is basically, it's the line that your eye follows when you're reading something like a poster. Yeah. So for example on this one, on this landscape portrait of a poster, it goes down and then up, and then down, and then up, and then down. So in this kind of pattern, all right? So you've got that here for landscape and portrait formats. In terms of visual aids, you can see here that this example poster has lots and lots of pictures and lots of very visual elements. There's not a lot of text on it. And this is a really crucial point when talking about poster presentations. It's not a good idea to have big chunks of text, paragraphs, really long sentences, anything like that. Okay? It should be appealing, attractive, easy to read, easy to follow. So it is a good idea to include relevant and of course academic visual aids such as graphs, pictures and data and so on. So that brings us to this section about presenting data and numbers. Here is a pie chart, okay, very helpful visual aid. You can also use bar charts, line graphs, many different types of graphics that you can use to represent data, numbers and your research. Yeah, so this is an essential part of a poster presentation, one of the most important elements. So finally, let's have a think about the presentation skills and signposting language parts. Okay, so in terms of presentation skills, this here is a kind of checklist. So for example, are your hands in your pockets? Hopefully not. Yeah. Are you speaking loudly and clearly enough? Are you reading from your notes or your slides, or are you making good eye contact with the audience? All of these are really, really essential and important points when thinking about your actual presenting skills in a presentation. And finally, we've got some kind of signposting language, which helps the audience to understand where you're at in your presentation and how the different parts kind of link together. Okay, so let's finish there. So I've given you a kind of general overview of some of the elements of an effective poster presentation. Yeah, so we've talked about structure, visual aids and pictures, and presentation skills. So thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been useful for you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.